challenger for the World Middleweight Championship tonight. And that's Hugo Corro of Argentina, brilliant boxer. The World Middleweight Champion defending tonight. And the two will meet right here in the fairyland Principality of Monaco. You will see it live. And, of course, you will see it in this stadium known as Monte today on ABC's Wide World of Sport. Also, you'll see these two men in action in their fight of a week ago Friday night. Roberto Duran, considered by many the best in the world, pound for pound, against Carlo Palomino. VA Stadium in the Principality of Monaco. Live right now, they are getting ready. And included among the crowd is Prince Rainier, and his son is immediately to his right. His son Albert, who is a student at Amherst College in Amherst, Massachusetts. Hello again, everyone. Yes, we're getting ready for Hugo Corro's defense of his middleweight crown against Vito Antuofermo, the kid who was born in Bari, Italy, but who moved to the United States, has been living in Brooklyn since he was 16 years old. He is, as I said at the start of the telecast, a tough kid. But he'll be going against a very skilled boxer and counter-puncher. And we'll see the assets of both fighters and the deficits, too, as the bout progresses. Now, a quick note. It had been our plan, and we so advertised it, to present a special feature on the history of the middleweight crown, because middleweights have been historic in the whole history of boxing. And, of course, you would have seen people like the toy Bulldog, Mickey Walker, Tony Zale, Rocky Graziano, Marcel Sedan, Sugar Ray Robinson, Carmen Basilio, the Onion Farmer.
Under Roberto Duran, his back toward you against Carlos Palomino, once the welterweight champion. Immediately, Roberto Duran took command, using that left and right, punching sharply the way he can. Though it must be said that in recent bouts he has not been able to put away the opponent. Witness Jimmy Hare some 6 weeks ago in Las Vegas. Right there, Duran with a tremendous right uppercut and follow-up left hook. Palomino had been trying to work the inside against Duran, and Duran proved too much for Palomino. Look at it in replay, an augury of things to come throughout the evening. There was the right uppercut, the left hook. Palomino withstanding the punishment. In round 2, Palomino followed the same procedure, tried to work to the inside, tried to outmuscle Duran, and it proved again to be a mistake. Duran beat him at his own game. Note the way Duran fights, knowing how to use the shoulders and the head. Pummeling away at Palomino and hitting him with those uppercuts. Arthur McCanny, the referee, breaking the two of them up. They went along to round 5, and by now, Duran was totally in command of the fight. Would it sometimes revert to wildness? So sure was he of the victory even that early, and so eager was he for the knockout. Duran, always a difficult target himself to hit. Round 6, he continued to clean up on Carlos Palomino. Right there, the left first and then the right in combination. Flash knockdown, mandatory 8 count, of course. This fight's being scored on a 10-point must system, voting the referee Arthur McCanny and the 2 judges. And Duran scoring a shutout, or nearly so, up to that point in the fight. Palomino, no part of the fighter once he was. He looked finished, in point of fact, on January 14th in San Juan, when Benitez took the crown from him. Ran with a tremendous ability to level punches. He can punch upward with the uppercut, downward, in all directions. He is a fierce warrior. He has become the darling of the New York boxing writers. At 29, it remains to be seen if he can go on to win the welterweight crown. But in this round, It was all Roberto Duran and nothing of Carlos Palomino but the courage to stay on his feet. Completely one-sided fight. Palomino offering little by way of attack from the very outset of the bout. Again, much in the manner of the fight he had against Benitez. Palomino, always a notoriously slow starter, but he always had the ability to come on in the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth rounds. No sign of it in this bout, the way it was a week ago Friday night. New York's Madison Square Garden. Duran setting himself up for a future welterweight championship crown. The added weight that Duran has taken on apparently has not dimmed his ability to move and to throw punches. See the way he used that right uppercut and then followed it with the left? That's a throwback to that first round when he had that spectacular 1-2. The right uppercut and the left. Past tense, past action. A week ago, Friday night at the Garden. One day there'll be a showdown. There will have to be between Roberto Duran and the ever-growingly popular Sugar Ray Leonard. But first, Leonard has business with Benitez as that round ended. Now, here's the replay of the knockdown. The left and the right flash knockdown. Duran in total command of the fight. Much of the same, a totally one-sided fight. But in round 8, there was one of Duran's classic rights, and we wanted you to see it in slow motion. There it was. He put as much as he had into it, but Palomino did not go down. And that's the thing I caution you about Duran. At 29, he does not seem to have the knockout power he once had. In the 9th round, it was the same grueling pace. Grueling for Palomino, who was essentially offenseless, whose the right lead got in twice, the second time followed by the left in combination. And so Duran poured it on Carlos Palomino, who will undoubtedly now have to take a look at a film career, which has long been lurking for him anyway. He is a fine young man, beautifully spoken, college graduate, has played in films, has raw talent in that area. Better to use it there than to take this kind of thing. Duran never let up throughout the 10 rounds, which was the most impressive thing about him. You saw that right lead again. The uppercut got in there, snapped Palomino's head back. And so the 9th round was just a repeat of what all of the prior rounds had been, with the possible exception of one, where one round was given to Palomino. This, again, the 9th round a week ago, Friday night. Instant replay in effect. Duran all over Palomino. Too strong, too active, too much of everything. And in this, the 10th round, Arthur McCanny always in position. McCanny as good a referee as there is in the boxing business. Letting the fighters fight their fight, mauling and brawling on the inside. But it was the same in the final round, this the 10th round, as it was in the first. Too much Roberto Duran for a fading fighter, Carlos Palomino, who was once a welterweight champion. As the fight wore down to its end, there was no question about the decision. Palomino's face showed it. Duran's face showed the elation one would expect. Raised aloft to yell to his admirers. The officials scored at 99-90 for Duran. His career continues apace.
Back live at Monaco, the fighters now in the ring, Carlo and Antuofermo, and we'll be back in just a moment with a look at Antuofermo up close and personal, and then at Hugo Corro's boxing history. Monaco, and there you see 26-year-old Vito Antuofermo. They are gloving him right now in preparation for his bout against the young man whom you see in the background. No, that's still Antuofermo. I thought we were moving over to Hugo Corro for a shot. One of the men in Vito's corner in this case is Freddie Brown, the ancient man and a brilliant cut man. In the meantime, we've talked to you only briefly about Antuofermo. Now we want you to meet him in the kind of way that we like to present people who are athletes at ABC Sports. We want you to meet him the way he trains, the way he lives. Vito Antuofermo.
See, when I first came in Brooklyn from Italy, we landed around here. And it was pretty rough for me. This is a pretty bad neighborhood, and I couldn't speak English, so kids used to pick on me all the time. And I used to get into a lot of fights because of that. And one night, we went to a block party, and kids always picking on me all the time. There was this wise guy that really, you know, we got in, so we went to fight. So cops came and took us, and this used to be a prison, and I thought they were taking me there. Instead, they took me in this place there, PAL. Upstairs is a gym, a boxing gym, and that's where I started boxing.
So a cop gave a kid a break. He became a fine amateur fighter, and then in 1974 against the former world champion Denny Moyer, a convincing victory. He was really on his way. But there were tough opponents to be met even after the victory over Denny Moyer. There was, for instance, Cyclone Hart, the TKO artist. And does Antuofermo have a weakness? Yes, in the fourth round. As you look at it there, you'll see the weakness. A tendency to cut. Look, around the eyes. But what are his trademarks really? Stamina, guts. And in the fifth round, he came back to do away with Cyclone Hart. After that, there was to come perhaps the biggest victory of his career against the tough man, Benny Briscoe. And it was this victory over Briscoe in early '78 that led to his title shot against Carlo today. This is the way he prepares himself, running, as inevitably fighters do in the early morning. Could be a beach in Maine, but no, the Brooklyn kid runs right here at Coney Island. Look at the familiar landmarks. After that, another familiar landmark, the gym of Bobby Gleason, a block away from the Garden. And the sparring, the buildup of the very stamina that now is the earmark of Vito Antuofermo. And of course, there is the speed of hands on the bag, getting himself ready for what will be his biggest shot in the history of his boxing life. Boxing so far has been good to Vito Antuofermo. This proves it. A home in one of the better residential areas of Brooklyn. His wife expecting its second child shortly, his little daughter Lauren. So there is happiness there where most you would want it. And still there is the dream that impels him on to become the middleweight champion of the world. And so he's back at it every morning until today.
So a look at Vito Antuofermo up close and personal. Earlier, I had a chance to talk briefly with Vito about his chances in tonight's fight. You're absolutely convinced you can beat him. He is a clever, skilled, experienced boxer.
Definitely. We've seen him against some good fighters, and he did beat them. But I think I got the right tools to beat him.
What tools?
Strength. I last longer, and I'm just as fast as him, or maybe even faster. He fought guys that slow, like Rodrigo Valdez.
Will you knock him out?
Well, that I can't predict. If I could predict that, I could predict anything. If a knockout comes, it will come natural.
Good luck to you.
Thank you very much, Hal.
Yankee Stadium. We line.
That's 25-year-old Hugo Corro, handsome and unmarked. He is the WBC and the WBA World Middleweight Champion. In America, they don't know much about him, but he has earned those titles. And here is a look at his history.
This was April 22, 1978. A major upset. Hugo Corro, a 5-1 underdog to Rodrigo Valdez. Surprising Valdez, staying away from him for 9 rounds. And then coming on with a terrific finishing flurry as you watch him there, his back toward you. Cleaning up on Valdez to become the middleweight champion of the world. And then the defense against the home folks in Argentina. Southpaw Ronnie Harris of the United States, whom I saw win the gold medal in 1968 in Mexico City in the lightweight division. But Corro, much too much for him. Not a knockout puncher, but a skilled boxer. And then the rematch against Valdez, November of '78. And the pattern was the way it was in the first fight, only this time more easily. Corro dominating from the beginning, in the vein of Monzon.
We're back live ringside, Monte Stadium in Monaco, and we're about ready for the World Middleweight Championship bout. Right there, the challenger, Vito Antuofermo. He is 26 years of age. His record is 44, 3-1 with 19 KOs. Weighed in at 159.5. That's the champion, Hugo Corro, in the gold trunks. He is 25 years of age, a record of 47, 2-1 with 24 KOs. Don't be misled by the KOs, however, in either case, because neither fighter is reputed as a knockout puncher. Those of you who have seen Vito fight know that his greatest qualities are stamina and courage and quick hands. He is not the greatest boxer in the world. He can hurt accumulatively. As for Corro, he is a defensive kind of fighter, a boxer, a superb counterpuncher, quick hands, quick feet, moves backwards very well, counterpunching in the process. One gets the feeling that Corro could be a much better puncher were he to fight more aggressively, but he's been taught a different way, and it's worked for him. To the far left of your screen is Tito Lecturi, who is also the manager of Victor Galindez, who is present tonight. He is Corro's manager. And in the corner of Antuofermo will be Tony Carioni, Ray Scarica, Freddie Brown, whom I've already alluded to, the brilliant antique cutman, and Carlo Sluit. Ready for the start of the fight, scoring on the 10-point must system. The 3 knockdown per round rule will be in effect. There's the bell. No standing 8 counts unless a fighter is helpless. The mandatory 8 count, no saving by the bell. The ring is 18 feet. They are using Italian gloves. And so the action is underway in the first round. Antuofermo in the black trunks, Corro in the gold. Corro going to the midsection with a left. Corro has labored long and hard in the shadow of Carlos Monzon. Never gotten his countrymen's plaudits the way Monzon did. Hopes that this action will bring him some acclaim similar to that which was accorded Carlos when he held the middleweight crown for 7 long years. A right lead by Corro, picked off by Antuofermo's glove. The referee is Ernesto Magana of Mexico. He has a vote in the scoring. The judges, Roland Dakin of Great Britain and Willie Tom, also of Great Britain. Those 3 doing the official scoring. In a wary first round thus far, we have gone in a minute and 15 seconds. It is hot in Monte Stadium. It is in the mid-80s. Prince Rainier is here, as you saw, together with his son Albert and 2 of Albert's buddies from Amherst College. The lower right-hand corner of your screen indicates the first round countdown, where the action has been sparse. but understandably so, it should develop. I think Corro, as there was a little bit of a complaint there about a butt, I think Corro expected Antuofermo to come out like a bull, charging him. Antuofermo said, I've got a different plan. And indeed, he came out cautiously. Vito trying to bull him now and maul him. He fights like a bull, Antuofermo does. The boxing skills are relatively minimal. The thing to remember about Antuofermo, too, is that he cuts easily. At least that's been his history. 25 seconds left in the first round. We are approaching the end of round one. Ringside in the Principality of Monaco, round two just underway. Antuofermo to the left. Now he is behind Carlo in the blue trunks. Carlo, the reigning middleweight champion. The first round saw relatively little action, practically no punches thrown, a little bit of bullying by Antuofermo. And we'd like to alert our local stations along the line that at the end of this round, we'll take a station break. Again, Antuofermo turns to the bullying tactic. Get the opponent against the rope, and they maybe work him over the belly and get up to the face. But it hasn't happened yet. Carlo, the far more stylish fighter. You can see his boxing posture. Again, Ernesto Magana of Mexico is the referee. 1 minute into round two. Antuofermo's eyes heavily covered with Vaseline, hopeful of protecting against what have been in the past the inevitable cut. Carlo twice defeated Rodrigo Valdez and also beat the southpaw from Ohio, Ronnie Harris. We're a minute and 40 seconds into the round. This is the second round. And there's been very little clean punching so far in this bout. Waiting in the wings is a fighter from Brockton, Massachusetts, named Marvin Hagler, who TKO'd Norberto Cabrera tonight in this very ring in the 8th round. Hagler had an excellent 8th round in stopping Cabrera. He put his punches together methodically and excellently, but for the first 7 rounds, there were some who felt that he was not fighting like the Superman middleweight he's been built up by some of the press to be. Hagler to get a shot at the winner. Less than 30 seconds left, and so far, we have been devoid of excitement. Right there, you got a quick glimpse of Carlo as the would-be counterfeit. We'll return with more of ABC's Wide World of Sports after this from our local station. Ernesto Magana, the referee. It is an 18-foot ring. It is scored on a 10-point must system. The first 2 rounds, under the order break from Magana, the fighters do. The first 2 rounds, nothing much happened. I scored the first round even. Subjective scoring gave the second round to Carlo, who looked clearly the classy of boxing. Vito wants to bull his opponent if he can. That's the way he fights. Big draw for the crowd, from the crowd for Vito, who is their favorite here. Corro is a tough cookie to get through. Watch the way he uses his gloves. Protect himself. Pick off the punches. Crowd is not happy with the action they've seen thus far. That's what I mean by trying to bull your opponent. Nothing classy about it. It's what Vito is trying to do. We have a minute 22, as you can see, in the third round. Save. Antuofermo protected well twice so far in this fight against the right lead. Kept that left up there very well. But you're in the third round now, and you haven't seen but maybe 2 or 3 clean blows. Vito's corner is saying, like a cat, like a cat. Inside them all, right there. Carlo with a left that got in. Already I see redness over Antuofermo's right eye. Vito trying to bull Carlo as we approach the end of the third round. And live at ringside Monaco, you heard the bell for the start of round 4. Antuofermo with some redness over the right eye, but no blood yet. Freddie Brown working over it. Very few clean punches. The best blows landed in point of fact by Carlo. They scored the first round even and gave the next 2 to Carlo. Again, just one reporter's subjective scoring. Vito again trying to bull the opponent, but you can't score points that way. And Vito was admonished by referee Ernesto Magana of Mexico. See, I told you that Carlo is not an offensive fighter. He is a defensive fighter, which is why he failed to please the Argentine public. He moves backward, he counterpunches, and you don't impress a lot of people with that fighting style. But he's been efficient at it. Efficient enough to have won both the WBC and the WBA recognition as middleweight champion of the world. Efficient enough to have surprised Rodrigo Valdez the first time around and to have beaten him much more easily the second time around. A minute and a half into the fourth round. Crowd roared as the right of Antuofermo finally caught Carlo high on the left side of the head. You can understand the crowd roaring because there have been so few clean punches in this fight thus far. Carlo there with a good left. A minute left in round 4. Again, the clinch. There's been a lot of that. I remarked earlier that Carlo is handsome and unmarked. He is very proud of that, and he feels he is that. Vito got in a left there because of the manner in which he fights, so defensively. The fourth round is not long for this world. It's a championship fight. It is, of course, a scheduled 15-rounder. We're back live at ringside in Monaco for the start of the 5th round. Antuofermo, the black trunks, and Carlo, the defending champion, the gold. Nino Benvenuti, remember him? Past middleweight champion, sitting next to me at ringside, proclaiming Antuofermo tough. He is, but he's got to land with punches to score. So many ex-champions here tonight. Emil Griffith is here. He had 3 wars with Benvenuti. The two are now firm friends. Also here, Rocky Mattioli, the kid who had the hard luck loss to Morris Hope in San Remo, about we did back in the late winter. And Victor Galindez, the reigning light heavyweight champion, is here, rooting for Carlo. Benvenuti is right about the toughness and grit of Antuofermo. Now he's fighting better. He brought that left up and scored with it. Grit is a great thing. It also helps if you land punches. Minute 20 into the 5th round. Good blow to the midsection by Carlo. Carlo laughing. Bring him up. There is blood coming from the corner of Antuofermo's right eye. A good left and a right combination by Carlo. We told you about Antuofermo and the facility with which he cut. Antuofermo aware of the cut, punching strongly against Carlo right there. You see the blood pouring down Antuofermo's right cheek. 45 seconds left, and Antuofermo's corner is yelling, "Move your hand." Carlo got in a good right in that exchange. It is in the corner of the eye, just outside that corner, so should not damage Antuofermo's vision. Antuofermo trying to bull the opponent, coming up with 3 consecutive lefts, and then a half rabbit punch with the right. Trying to maul the opponent, a tactic we told you to look for early on. A warning from Magana to Antuofermo. We come to the close of this, the 5th round. Back live, the 6th round just underway. Carlo quickly with some movement, more than he's shown us thus far. Antuofermo, the right eye cut, at least temporarily repaired by Freddie Brown, who's been a wizard. Exercised manual leisure domain through all of the years that I've known him at boxing. Almost as many years as I've lived. Freddie now, heaven knows, must be in his late 70s or, no, he's in his 80s. Vito being the aggressor. Again, the clinch, falling, brawling. Not a lot of skill. Fighters, but more Antuofermo. I think you see Vito's tactics pretty clearly at this point in a pattern. It's pretty tough to wrest a world championship away from an opponent unless you outpunch him, outscore him cleanly. So far, in the first 5 rounds, that has not been happening. Carlo with a good left that reopened mildly that cut. Carlo with a right lead. His are the cleaner blows, the more impactful. You see that blood in the corner of Antuofermo's right eye reopened. remains up to this point unmarked. 45 seconds left in the 6th round. We will stay between rounds. Take a closer look. There you see the same attempt to bowl. Arms around Carlo in the corner, and then trying the punches from right field. 20 seconds left. Antuofermo missing with every attempted blow there. Missed 5 times in a row. The end of the round at hand. Antuofermo to his corner. He's clearly in no danger. There is the one cut that was mildly reopened in the corner of the right eye. Carlo seems utterly unmarked. Well, they're working over a little mouse under the left eye. See that? Those fingers know how to minister to that situation. They've been doing it for a long time. Carlo, a tremendously attractive young man, and a man who wants to get recognition. And his style of fighting, as I've said, is not conducive to it. The bell, and we are in round 7. Said earlier that neither fighter had a real knockout punch despite their number of KOs. Oh! There you saw the bowling by Antuofermo, and let me call your attention to those ropes. They're among the worst I have ever seen. They are very loose, and they are very tough. You could get rope burns brutally. There is no padding around those ropes, none that I could feel in testing them before the fight. They're very loose and very low, and it's conceivable that a fighter could go right through those ropes or over them and onto the ring apron and maybe even into the crowd. I don't understand why these ropes were permitted to be in this condition. Magana has just penalized, taken a point away from Antuofermo for butting. And that is where that bowling tactic can get you into terrible trouble. You saw Magana turn to each of the judges, take that finger, and point it, indicating a point taken away. We're a minute and a half into round 7. There'll be no attempt to tell you that this is an outstanding fight. It has not been. Antuofermo has not been able to land cleanly on Carlo at all, and Carlo's style of fighting, while effective in terms of point scoring, is not crowd-pleasing. Look at that. Not a pretty scene. 1 minute left in round 7. Crowd beginning to whistle and boo. They've grown accustomed to this pace in the Principality of Monaco. The Prince was here a week ago. He's here tonight. Last week, they saw the spectacle of Leon's face. "30 seconds to go." Coming now to the end of the round. And Marvin Hagler is sitting here, and he is probably licking his chops in anticipation. We're back live, the start of the 8th round. Carlo, Gold Trunk, Antuofermo, Black trunks at stake. Middleweight crowns, both WBC and WBA. Same tactic. Would be efficient if he could get through with some punches. Because you maul an opponent that way, you can wear down the opponent's body. Well, that looked like a block by Carlo and an attempt by a defensive lineman to come around him, holding him behind the neck. We're almost a minute into this round, and you tell me where the blows have been. Would also like to alert our local stations along the line that at the end of this round, we'll take a station break. Whistles, cat calls, some boos. Minute 20. Corner is telling Vito to stick, but you notice that Vito, and I told you at the beginning, he is not a good boxer. He is not the kind of man who efficiently can stick and move. In boxing parlance, that simply means jabbing with the left, scoring with it, moving, keeping away from the opponent. Good left against the ropes by Carlo. Good, clean left. Minute left in the 8th round. Well, sometimes it has the look of a wrestling match. Carlo with that right. Note that the real punches are being scored by Carlo, no matter how infrequent. Roundhouse left hook by Carlo. Quick left uppercut by Carlo. We'll return with more of ABC's Wide World of Sports after this from our local station. Back live in Monaco, perhaps more live than the bout. It is the 9th round. Antuofermo not able to score successfully from the advent of the fight against Carlo, a defensive-style fighter. More of the wrestling. Saw some wrestling. Some blows thrown that did not get through. Carlo got in a couple of grazing blows. Vito's corner trying to dart him on, encourage him. Just to reset for you, this is the 9th round of the middleweight championship bout, both WBA and WBC versions. Carlo, the defending champion in the gold, Vito Antuofermo from Brooklyn, the challenger in the black trunks. We have gone through, as noted, 8 rounds. It has not been an action fight. Styles, one man, Antuofermo, fights in a bull-like, non-skillful boxing fashion. Carlo, the champion, fights in a defensive manner, moving backwards, counter-punching. What clean blows have been landed, it seems to me, have been landed by Hugo Corro. Again, subjective view. Nothing official. There has been One cut in the fight was a cut in the corner of Antuofermo's right eye. It was not a bad cut. Freddie Brown in Antuofermo's corner fixed it. Then the cut was mildly reopened. That's been fixed. Hasn't been cut again, which shows you how few and far the blows have been. Because Antuofermo usually cuts easy. Not a mark on Carlo at all. Carlo just looks down as Antuofermo holds on to him. And we're coming now to the end of another eventful round, round 9. Live in Monaco, round 10 just underway. Perhaps you heard the bell. Corro, Hugo Corro in the gold trunks, Antuofermo in the black. We are still waiting for some outbreak of clean, punishment, punching action. We have not seen it in this bout. That has been Vito Antuofermo throughout the fight. Surging forward, rushing, clutching the opponent, bullying him, but not scoring. Occasionally, Carlo has scored, and cleanly. But he has been no whiz-bang at all with his defensive style of fighting. Backing, moves well on his feet going backwards, but look at him. And we're a minute into round 10. Don't forget, tomorrow on ABC's Wide World of Sport, you'll see action from the Larry Holmes-Mike Weaver fight of a week ago Friday night at the Garden. The fight that was so regaled by some of the boxing press. Minute and a half into the 10th round. Vito did get a left in there. This will not be one of your more memorable fights, you viewers. Carlo trying to go to the midsection. Less than a minute left. You must hear Vito's corner trying to encourage him. 30 seconds left in the 10th round. Coming to the end of the 10th round. It ends the way it began. Eleventh round action live from ringside in the Principality of Monaco. Middleweight championship at stake. WBC, WBA version. Quick complaint by Carlo about a low blow from Antuofermo. Slip, forget it. No knockdown. Carlo gold trunks, Antuofermo black trunks. No need to labor the fact that this has been a downright dull fight. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to get Marvin Hagler, the Brockton Jr. blockbuster, to ringside to get his view, because he'll be fighting the winner of this, presumably in September, for the middleweight crown. Hagler tonight earlier fought Norberto Cabrera. Fought methodically, not brilliantly, and then in the 8th round, he purposefully did away with the opponent. He can punch. The hands are rapid. He gets through. He's unafraid. And speaking of Hagler, is a ragged, shoddy exhibition. One would like to see A, some evidences of boxing skill, and B, some clean punches landed. Right there, Carlo got in a left, and look at that. Again, Antuofermo is won. Come on over, Marvin. Sit down right here. Marvin Hagler is with me now. At the end of this round, I'm going to have a quick chat with him. Crowd is yelling, Vito, 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 as he finally scored with a couple of punches. But basically, it is the same. Trying to bowl, mauling, brawling, no clean punching, very little scoring, if any, by Antuofermo throughout the bout. Carlo fighting his way defensively, moving backwards, counterpunching. We are approaching the end of the round. And so that's the end of the 11th round as I mark my score and as I get ready to talk with Marvin Hagler, who, as I told you, TKO'd Norberto Cabrera earlier this evening in the 8th round. Marvin, now you're getting a chance to watch the world middleweight champion in action against Antuofermo, the number 2 ranked WBA contender, number 5 WBC. Honestly, what's your view of what you can do to either fighter?
Well, first of all, I want to know, was this a championship fight? It don't look that way to me. Both of them look like a bunch of amateurs. Corro more or less wants to be a pretty boy in there. But I think what I would have to do is put the pressure more on Corro, make him fight. Antuofermo, I have to let him meet my right jab or straight left hand all night long.
You're going to be the champion.
I'm going to be the champion. They finally recognized me as the number 1 contender by WBA and WBC. And now these guys can't duck me. My next fight is with either one of them. And I believe I can beat any one of them.
Okay, Marvin, thank you very much. Words from Marvin Hagler of Brockton, Massachusetts. And I have to agree with him. As poor a fight as you could want to see. 12th round action. Sitting 2 rows behind me is Michael Katz of the New York Times, their boxing writer. He went up to New England and saw Marvin Hagler fight for the first time a number of months back and immediately proclaimed Hagler the best middleweight in the world. The crowd is yelling, but it's much ado about nothing. It's what you've been saying all fight long. Oh, that time Antuofermo finally got in a couple of lefts. Look at that, holding Carlo with his left and trying to punch him with his right. Just letting you watch this. Marvin Hagler next to me making disparaging remarks about what's going on in the ring, and I don't blame him. There it is again. We have 45 5 seconds left in this round. Maybe you could score this round for Antuofermo on grounds of sheer bull-like tenacity. Certainly not in terms of skill, but Carlo is merely defense. Hold with the left, punch with the right. That's the Antuofermo tactic in this round. So the end of the round mercifully comes as Antuofermo continues to go at Carlo and get some encouragement from some of the fans, as you can see. But not that many of them. There's a guy screaming, say Vito, 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 but the crowd is not responding. Most would just like to see some clean boxing action. He was trying desperately with his bull-like tactics to come on strongly in the late going. And he does have tremendous stamina. That may be his greatest asset of all. Quickly, they go into the wrestling posture again. Carlo, surprisingly little foot movement. I'm really surprised at that. Carlo was hit by a left there and started immediately to cover up. He does not like to have his face marked. That's all right if you're a youthful Ali and have the skills that an Ali has. Thirteenth round action. More wrestling. Corro, who has a bigger looking body than Antuofermo, may be showing some signs of fatigue. Trying to get some movement in there to avoid some of those bull-like rushes, but not successful. Different demeanor to Corro this round than in the last half of last round, too. He doesn't like to take any kind of punishment. And those bull-like rushes of Antuofermo may have taken something out of him, which undoubtedly was Vito's plan. Certainly, Carlo has not been counterpunching or throwing any leather in the last 2 rounds. And we're almost at the end of this round. This fight could tighten up, regardless of its absence of skills. We're counting down to the end of round 13. And Carlo is not fighting. We're back live, and the crowd now is yelling for Antuofermo because so many of them are knowledgeable boxing fans. They detected what I've already brought to your attention, that the last 2 rounds, Carlo did no fighting. Antuofermo's stamina, his greatest asset. And this fight has tightened up in terms of the scoring. Not in terms of the attractiveness of the performance for you viewers, perhaps, though they've each done their best. But Carlo has stopped fighting. He has stopped punching. And indeed, as I look at my scorecard, it may be that Antuofermo won the 11th round, too. Right there, trying to fight back, is Hugo Corro. I still say Hugo Corro with a good right there. It's tough for a fighter to win a title away from a champion on the basis of what Antuofermo has shown. But that's a matter for the judges. That safety first method of fighting by Corro, that's no way to keep a crown either. That's no guarantee to keep it. Antuofermo again, that head against the chest. As I suggested at the very start of our telecast, that middleweight retrospective history piece that we had hoped to get in if time would permit, obviously we will not be able to get in. We will present it at a later date. I think you'll find that action something to see. Mickey Walker, Tony Zale, Graziano, Marcel Sedan, Sugar Ray Robinson, Carmen Basilio, Carlos Monzon. Some of the great fights in history. We're closing down on this round, too. See those ropes I told you about? Almost went right through them from the pulling Antuofermo. Now he's got a headlock on Corro. And the round ends almost again as it began. All right, we're back live at ringside in Monaco, the Principality. You're looking at Hugo Corro, the defending middleweight champion of the world, WBA and WBC version. And there you're looking at Vito Antuofermo, the man who usually cuts so easily. A cut was opened in the third, in the corner of the right eye, reopened in the fourth, but then nothing. And that's a tribute to the paucity of clean blows tonight. That was Tito Lecturi, the Yves Montand lookalike you just saw. The manager of Corro exhorting him as we come to round 14, because the fight has become, in my score, unexpectedly close. I make correction. Did I say 14? I meant 15. Antuofermo has come on very strongly on the basis of sheer stamina. Look at that. That's a lot of skill, huh? Mangana admonishing Antuofermo. Once in the 7th round, he took a point away from Antuofermo for butting Marvin Hagler, who will be the next challenger against the winner of this bout, made a brief appearance at our microphone. Spoke very candidly about the quality or absence thereof of this fight. 15th and final round. Well, the headlock was there. One could more easily score this fight on the basis of a wrestling match. Except they can't pin the shoulders. Minute and a half, little less left in the final round. A good right by Antuofermo. A good, clean right. Finally, it came through in the 15th round. Antuofermo manhandling the opponent willfully, and the opponent unable to do anything about it. amazing how Carlo has given up fighting in the last 4 rounds. Where did all the skills go? As for Antuofermo, no skills, but just mauling, manhandling, occasionally getting in some blows. Stick and move, you didn't see it in this fight. The fight is about to end. Crowd on its feet, now cheering for Antuofermo. Hear them singing Vito, Vito, or chanting, I should say. However, it should be a close score. Meantime, we look at Antuofermo, and then we look at Hugo Corro. Tito Lecturi, a worried look on his face. He saw his fighter do absolutely nothing in the last 4 or 5 rounds. Antuofermo, well, give him credit for a lot of guts and a lot of stamina. But this was a fight that you will not remember. Devoid of boxing skill. Marvin Hagler sitting here and licking his chops. Well, can we open up this stick, Mike, please? Talking to my producer, Bobby Goodrich, as we await the decision. Marvin, what did you just say to me? Marvin,
I can't wait, Howard. I can't wait. Antuofermo, I think I have more stamina than what he has and much more speed. Corro is a setback fighter. You have to stay on him and make him work. I believe Antuofermo might have pulled this fight off.
He may have in the last 4 or 5 rounds. Well, there we are on camera, and we are still awaiting the decision. And Antuofermo's corner is obviously convinced, Marvin, that they have pulled this fight off because of that rally in the last 4 to 5 rounds.
It makes me any different, Howard, who I fought anyway. I kept my mind neutral. Whoever wins this fight, they have to deal with me next anyway. And like I said, I believe that I'm the true champion, and I'll show these people what a champion is. They kept me away from the title for a long time, and I believe that come September, you will have a new champion.
Okay, now let's await the decision, Marvin. Under any circumstances, good luck to you. People in Antuofermo's corner are lifting their arms in proclaimed victory. You know, it's amazing. I have done so many fights in Monaco. In one even, with Rune Arledge, the president of ABC News and Sports, sitting next to me. And always there are these unseemly delays in getting the decision. And one can't but wonder why. Okay, there it is, finally. Well, apparently Vito Antuofermo has won the middleweight championship of the world based upon the great comeback in the last 4 or 5 rounds. I repeat, in perfect candor, not great in terms of boxing skills, but great in terms of courage and offense. The referee, I am told, called it a draw, and it went in favor of Vito Antuofermo. Once again, the winner tonight, the new middleweight champion of the world, Vito Antuofermo. Travel arrangements made through promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United is building the largest airline in the world around you. And so next, it will be Antuofermo against Hagler, probably.